They're Hollywood's darlings, the innocent faces that light up our screens. But beneath that fame lies something much darker. From Even Stevens to Riverdale, these child stars have been the victims of crime, scandal, and shocking arrests. Shia LaBeouf's downfall was just the beginning. And when names like Ryan Grantham and even Chris Brown, linked in whispers to Diddy's courtroom collapse, come up, you know this isn't just a rumor, it's a Hollywood scandal that no one saw coming. Which of these fallen stars shocked you the most? Let's dive in. Ryan Grantham. Ryan Grantham now finds himself spending the rest of his days behind bars after being convicted of a shocking crime that stunned both Canada and Hollywood. The tragedy unfolded on March 31st, 2021. Grantham, who had been struggling with severe mental health issues for months, ended up shooting his own mother as she played the piano at home, a chilling act he later confessed to on video. After covering her body, he packed his car with firearms, ammunition, and homemade explosives, originally intending to assassinate the Canadian Prime Minister. When those plans fell through, he considered unleashing violence at a university or a crowded bridge. But ultimately, Grantham surrendered himself to police. Known for his roles in Diary of a Wimpy Kid, Way of the Wicked, and the hit series Riverdale, Grantham's once promising career took a dark turn when he was convicted of second-degree murder. Later, Grantham would explain that his motive for killing his cancer-stricken mother was twisted. He wanted to spare her the pain of discovering what he might do next. Grantham's actions shocked fans and the film industry alike. He was handed a life sentence, with the judge recognizing his deteriorating mental health and substance-related struggles as major factors in his downfall. It's a haunting reminder of how even the brightest young stars can face devastating inner battles, sometimes with tragic results. Did you know? Few people realize that before his arrest, Grantham was an accomplished pianist himself, a detail that makes the events of that day even more heartbreaking. Chris Brown. Chris Brown, once hailed as the future of R&B, experienced a meteoric rise to fame at just 16 with his debut single, Run It, topping the Billboard charts. His talent drew comparisons to Michael Jackson, and he quickly became a household name. However, his career has been marred by a series of legal issues and controversies that have overshadowed his musical achievements. In 2009, Brown's public image suffered a significant blow following a highly publicized domestic violence case involving singer Rihanna. He was sentenced to 5 years of probation and 180 days of community service. Recently, Brown's name surfaced during the ongoing legal proceedings involving music mogul Sean "Diddy" Combs. During testimony, Diddy's ex-girlfriend Cassie Ventura recounted an incident where Combs allegedly reacted with jealousy upon suspecting her of dancing with Brown, leading to a confrontation. While Brown was not accused of any wrongdoing in this context, the mention highlights the interconnected nature of the entertainment industry's personal and professional relationships. Furthermore, Brown has faced separate legal challenges, including a 2022 civil lawsuit alleging misconduct aboard a yacht owned by Diddy. Brown denied the allegations, and the case was dismissed due to lack of prosecution. Nevertheless, these incidents contribute to the complex narrative surrounding Brown's career and public persona. Macaulay Culkin. Macaulay Culkin was once the most famous child actor on earth. As the unforgettable face of Home Alone, Home Alone 2, and Richie Rich, he captured hearts around the world before he was even a teenager. But behind the scenes, fame came with a dark price, and tragedy struck in 2000 when his half-sister passed away from an overdose. Just 4 years later, in September 2004, Culkin found himself in legal trouble after being stopped in a car in Oklahoma City. Police discovered several unprescribed pills in the vehicle, and Culkin, then a passenger, was taken into custody. Though the charges were serious, he was released after paying a $4,000 bond. Later that year, Culkin faced the court again for misdemeanor possession. Initially pleading not guilty, he eventually changed his plea and accepted responsibility. The result? A $540 fine and 3 suspended 1-year jail sentences. Years later, in a 2021 interview with Esquire, he addressed his past bluntly. "I do love them, they're like old friends, but sometimes you outgrow your friends." If you thought that Culkin's story was crazy, wait till you hear this next one, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on more interesting videos. Shia LaBeouf. Remember Shia LaBeouf, the once beloved child actor who shot to fame as the quirky Louis Stevens on Disney Channel's Even Stevens, and later took on blockbuster roles in the Transformers franchise and Indiana Jones. Shia's on-screen charisma was undeniable, but off-screen his life quickly spiraled into chaos. Shia's troubles became headline news in June 2014, when he was arrested outside a New York theater after causing a major disturbance during a performance of Cabaret. Reports say he yelled obscenities and even slapped a cast member, leading to charges for criminal trespass, harassment, and disorderly conduct. Shia pleaded guilty to disorderly conduct and entered alcohol treatment, hoping for a fresh start. But the drama didn't stop there. In July 2017, he found himself in trouble again, this time in Georgia at 4 a.m., after a public outburst that started when a stranger refused him a cigarette. Police body cam footage showed Shia launching a string of insults at officers, which led to another disorderly conduct charge. This time, he was fined $1,000 and ordered to attend anger management and substance abuse counseling, plus a full year on probation. Then in June 2020, Shia was back in the headlines for getting into a street fight and allegedly snatching a man's hat. Charges of petty theft and battery followed. He avoided further jail time by completing a court-mandated program, and those charges were eventually dropped. What really put the brakes on his Hollywood career, though, was a 2020 lawsuit from a former girlfriend who accused Shia of causing her emotional trauma. The case was serious enough that major studios and even Netflix began distancing themselves from the actor, casting a shadow over his once promising future. Gary Coleman. Once the face of America's favorite sitcom, Different Strokes, Gary Coleman was a household name in the 80s. With his small stature, wide-eyed charm, and unforgettable line, "What you talking about, Willis?" He wasn't just a child actor, he was a phenomenon. But behind that boyish smile was a future no one saw coming. By the early 2000s, Gary's fame had faded, and in 2004, his name reappeared in headlines for all the wrong reasons. An arrest at a Utah shopping mall shocked fans across the country. Witnesses reported a heated altercation between Coleman, then 36, and a security guard. What sparked the argument remains unclear, but what happened next was public and unforgettable. Coleman lost his temper, hurled insults, and escalated into physical confrontation right in front of stunned bystanders. Security intervened, but Gary resisted. The scene turned chaotic. The former child star, once adored by millions, was now being dragged away in cuffs, humiliated and broken. Unfortunately, this wasn't a one-time mistake. By 2010, Gary Coleman was arrested again, this time for violating his probation. A judge handed down a 30-day jail sentence. It wasn't a lengthy stay, but it marked a definitive end to the public's image of the innocent TV star they once knew. But the real tragedy went deeper. After his time on Different Strokes, Coleman's personal life unraveled. He sued his adoptive parents and former manager for mismanaging his earnings, allegedly leaving him financially devastated. With mounting health problems, legal issues, and constant media scrutiny, the fame that once lifted him up had long become a burden he couldn't shake. In May 2010, Gary Coleman passed away after a fall in his Utah home. There was no grand finale, no Hollywood redemption arc, just a somber, heartbreaking ending to a star whose light once burned so brightly on television screens across the nation. Marcus T. Paulk. Marcus T. Paulk rose to fame playing Moesha's younger brother, Miles Mitchell, on the hit 90s sitcom Moesha, which ran from 1996 to 2001. He also appeared in films like Nothing to Lose, High School Musical 3, and Take the Lead. In 2015, Marcus was arrested in Arizona after being caught driving erratically. Officers said he reeked of alcohol and they found a suspicious bag in his pocket. The result? A DUI charge and possession-related charges that landed him a year of probation. But that wasn't his only brush with the law. Back in August 2013, Marcus made headlines for a disturbing domestic incident. After a heated argument with his girlfriend, sparked by jealousy during a night out, he allegedly became violent. The situation escalated at home, where she was reportedly kicked and thrown out. She later checked into a hospital with internal injuries and told both staff and police what had happened. Marcus surrendered to authorities and spent a brief stint in jail. In court, he struck a plea deal, avoiding major prison time, but forced to complete a 12-month domestic violence program and stay 100 yards away from his ex. Once a rising child star, Marcus T. Paulk's promising career was overshadowed by a pattern of reckless behavior and violent outbursts. Amanda Bynes. Once hailed as one of Hollywood's most promising young talents, Amanda Bynes is best known for her roles in What a Girl Wants, She's the Man, and Nickelodeon's The Amanda Show. But her journey from child star to troubled adult has been anything but glamorous. In 2013, Amanda made headlines for bizarre incidents, including starting a fire in a stranger's driveway and throwing a glass object from her Manhattan apartment window. These events fueled growing concerns about her mental health. In late September 2014, Amanda found herself in serious trouble with the law yet again. She was arrested for driving under the influence after reportedly stopping her car in the middle of an intersection at a traffic light. The bail was set at $15,000. This wasn't her first run-in with DUI charges. Amanda had previously collided with a Los Angeles County Sheriff's cruiser in 2012, leading to a 3-year probation that started in February 2014. Amanda's struggles with substance issues and her diagnosis of bipolar disorder became public, and her condition eventually led to a conservatorship that lasted from August 2013 until March 2022. She's been absent from Hollywood since 2010, but recently, Amanda has sparked talk of a potential comeback. Edward Furlong. Edward Furlong was once Hollywood's golden kid. At just 13 years old, he shot to stardom playing John Connor in Terminator 2, Judgment Day, a film often hailed as one of the greatest action movies of all time. Sharing the screen with Arnold Schwarzenegger, Furlong became an overnight sensation. But despite appearances in powerful dramas like American History X and Little Odessa, his career slowly began to fade as he entered the 2000s. Behind the scenes, Furlong was spiraling, caught in a haze of non-stop partying that derailed both his career and personal life. He married in 2006, but by 2009, his wife filed for divorce and soon after a restraining order, accusing him of violent behavior while intoxicated. In 2010, he was busted for breaking that order, landing him 3 years of probation. But the troubles didn't stop. Between 2012 and 2013, Edward was arrested 4 times on battery-related charges for assaulting his then-girlfriend. In March 2013, it all caught up to him, and he was sentenced to behind bars. Today, Edward Furlong claims to be sober, rebuilding his life piece by piece, including getting a new set of teeth to replace the ones worn down by years of reckless living. But the shadow of what could have been still looms large over one of the most tragic child star stories in Hollywood history. Before we jump to the next fallen child star, I'm curious, what country are you watching from? Let me know in the comments below. Dana Plato. Dana Plato rose from humble beginnings. Born to a teenage mother, she once dreamed of Olympic figure skating before Hollywood came knocking. Most viewers remember her as Kimberly Drummond from the classic sitcom Different Strokes, where her wholesome image captured America's heart. But behind the scenes, Dana's life was filled with struggles. She faced personal battles from a young age, with her first overdose at just 14. After her early success faded, life hit hard. A brief marriage ended the same week her mother passed away, and a trusted accountant ran off with her savings. By 1990, Dana lost custody of her son and found herself slipping further from the spotlight. In 1991, desperate and out of options, she attempted to rob a video store with a pellet gun. She was caught within minutes. The following year, she was arrested again for forging a prescription, serving for violating parole. With her fortune gone and acting jobs disappearing, Dana struggled with poverty and unemployment. Sadly, her life never recovered. In 1999, Dana Plato died from an intentional overdose while visiting her fiancé's parents, leaving behind a tragic legacy as a child star whose fame turned to heartbreak and despair. Lilo Brancato. At just 16, Lilo was paid $25,000 for his role, and with his natural talent and a striking resemblance to De Niro himself, it seemed like Hollywood had found its next big thing. But as his fame grew, so did his appetite for the party lifestyle. He fell into addiction, first alcohol, then harder substances, and by the mid-2000s, he was fully consumed by it. In June 2005, he was stopped for a broken taillight. Police found multiple bags of illegal substances in his vehicle. But the real turning point came just 6 months later, in December 2005, when he was arrested following the death of an off-duty police officer. That officer had confronted Lilo and an accomplice who was also the father of Lilo's then-girlfriend while they were breaking into a house. A struggle ensued, and the officer was fatally shot. While Lilo didn't pull the trigger, he was charged with second-degree murder. In court, the jury found him not guilty of that charge, but convicted him of attempted burglary. He was sentenced to 10 years in prison. Behind bars, Lilo's battles continued. He suffered at least one overdose while serving time. Eventually, his fall from grace remains one of Hollywood's most sobering tales. A rising star who lost everything to addiction and crime. Joey Cramer. Joey Cramer captured the imagination of a generation as the star of the 1986 cult favorite Flight of the Navigator. Known for his iconic role as David Freeman, Joey was once a promising young actor before stepping away from Hollywood in the late 90s. But life after fame took a dark turn. In 2008, Joey was arrested for unsafe firearm storage and received 3 months probation. Later that year, he landed in even deeper trouble, convicted for possession with intent to sell, leading to a 6-month stint behind bars. His legal problems only grew. By 2011, he faced charges for drinking in public, passing forged checks, and was locked up for 30 days after being caught with a weapon and making threats. The most shocking chapter came in May 2016, when Joey Cramer was arrested for robbing a bank in British Columbia. He eventually pleaded guilty and was sentenced in prison. A tragic downfall for a former child star remembered for one unforgettable role now defined by his run-ins with the law. David Faustino captured hearts as the wisecracking Bud Bundy on the hit sitcom Married with Children, which ran from 1987 to 1997. He was a familiar face on American TV throughout the 90s, but behind the scenes, his real-life script took a sharp turn. In May 2007, the former child star was arrested in New Smyrna Beach, Florida, after a bizarre late-night altercation with his wife. Police found the two loudly arguing in a stopped car. At 2 a.m., Faustino, seated in the back, bizarrely tried to climb out the driver's side window before opening the door. Officers immediately noticed the strong smell of alcohol and soon discovered a small amount of contraband in his pocket. He was taken into custody and booked into the Volusia County Jail. Although the charges were later dropped, it came with a condition. Faustino had to complete a court-approved treatment program. He complied, trading headlines for healing. Once a sitcom star adored by millions, Faustino's story became a cautionary tale of how fast early fame can spiral without structure. Todd Bridges. Todd Bridges, the former child star who charmed audiences as Willis Jackson on Different Strokes, experienced a dramatic and unsettling fall from grace. Once a beloved figure, his life took a dark turn marked by challenges and brushes with the law. In 1989, Hollywood was stunned when Bridges was arrested in connection with an incident in Los Angeles. Reports alleged he discharged a firearm multiple times at Kenneth T.X. Clay, an individual known to be involved with controlled substances. The scene was described as chaotic, with evidence of gunfire and injuries to Clay. Bridges faced serious charges, including first-degree attempted assault and illegal weapon possession. The public struggled to reconcile the image of the cheerful Willis Jackson with the accusations leveled against him. The media delved into Bridges' past, revealing a struggle with substance use and risky associations. Facing the possibility of incarceration, Bridges maintained his innocence, claiming he was set up and a victim of his circumstances. Enter Johnny Cochran, the skilled attorney who later defended O.J. Simpson. Cochran took on Bridges' case and successfully shifted the narrative. Bridges was acquitted, but public perception remained skeptical. Despite avoiding prison, Bridges continued to grapple with his personal demons. In 1993, he was arrested again in an area known for illegal substance activities. Authorities found prohibited items and a weapon in his possession. This time, a lengthy prison sentence seemed inevitable. Todd later admitted in his memoir that he was in such a dark place during the arrest, he contemplated ending his life. Drake Bell. Drake Bell became a familiar face to millions as a child actor and musician, known for his starring role in Nickelodeon's hit show, Drake and Josh. Starting in the entertainment industry at just 5 years old, he quickly rose to fame as a teenage heartthrob. However, Bell's public image took a sharp downturn with a series of legal troubles. He was charged with driving under the influence in both 2010 and 2015, incidents that, shocking as they were, would soon be overshadowed by more serious accusations. In June 2021, Bell was arrested in Ohio on charges related to child endangerment and distributing inappropriate material to minors. The allegations painted a disturbing picture. Bell had developed an inappropriate relationship with a young fan he'd met when she was just a child, reportedly sending her explicit messages and persuading her to attend one of his concerts in December 2017. There, she claimed their interactions crossed the line. Initially pleading not guilty, Bell later changed his plea to guilty and was sentenced to 2 years probation and 200 hours of community service. During the court proceedings, the victim spoke out, claiming Bell had begun contacting her when she was 12 and sent her harmful images when she was 15. Bell maintained that he was unaware of her true age and stated he cut off all contact once he found out. Bonsall. Brian Bonsall, once a familiar face on NBC's classic sitcom Family Ties, captured hearts as young Andy Keaton and even took home multiple Young Artist Awards for his performances. But after stepping away from acting in 1995, Brian shifted gears to pursue music, founding the rock band Late Bloomers. Unfortunately, his journey took a dark turn. In 2007, Brian made headlines for all the wrong reasons when he was arrested for a violent altercation with his then-girlfriend, earning him 2 years of probation. The troubles didn't stop there. By December 2009, he was back in court for assaulting his best friend with a broken stool, leading to another guilty plea for third-degree assault and a parole violation. His struggles continued. In early 2010, Bonsall was back in court for violating parole due to marijuana use. There, he opened up about his battles with mental health and addiction. Once a rising star, Bonsall's journey from sitcom fame to repeated arrests stands as a sobering reminder of how quickly things can unravel, even for Hollywood's brightest young talents. Jeremy Jackson. Once a teen heartthrob on Baywatch, Jeremy Jackson played Hobie, the son of David Hasselhoff's character. But after leaving the iconic series, Jackson's life took a dark turn, fueled by ego and a spiraling addiction that derailed his career and personal life. By 2015, things hit a breaking point. In a shocking incident in Los Angeles, Jeremy allegedly tried to steal a car, and when the owner's girlfriend stepped in to stop him, he stabbed her and fled the scene. He was later found hiding in a hotel, arrested and charged with assault with a deadly weapon and making criminal threats. If convicted to the fullest extent, he could have faced up to 7 years behind bars. Just 2 years later, in 2017, Jackson pled guilty. The result? A 270-day jail sentence, 5 years of probation, mandatory anger management courses, and attendance at Alcoholics Anonymous. But this wasn't an isolated case. In April 2015, just months before, Jeremy was involved in another violent altercation, this time stabbing a man so badly he required 177 stitches. Jackson claimed it was self-defense and police let him go. Even earlier, in August 2014, he reportedly beat his significant other during a heated argument. Though the victim was left severely injured, no charges were filed because they chose not to press them. Jeremy Jackson's downfall is a sobering reminder that fame fades fast, but the consequences of violence and addiction can linger for years behind prison walls. Robert Blake. Robert Blake was once a household name, remembered for his starring role as a tough New York cop in the hit TV series Beretta and earlier as a child actor in the Our Gang film shorts. But in 2001, his Hollywood legacy took a dark and permanent detour. In May of that year, Blake and his wife dined at a restaurant in California. Moments later, she was found shot in their parked car. While Blake claimed he had gone back inside to retrieve a gun he'd accidentally left behind. The story raised eyebrows, and by 2002, Blake was arrested. The case only got stranger when two men came forward, claiming Blake had previously approached them about ending his wife's life. Despite the dramatic accusations, the prosecution couldn't tie him directly to the crime. With no forensic evidence connecting him to the weapon, Blake was found not guilty in criminal court. But the story didn't end there. The victim's children later filed a wrongful death lawsuit against Blake, and this time a civil jury held him responsible. He was ordered to pay $30 million in damages, an amount later reduced on appeal. Facing massive legal fees and tax debt, Blake declared bankruptcy. Orlando Brown. Orlando Brown rose to fame as a child actor on the hit Disney Channel series That's So Raven, and even appeared alongside Damon Wayans in the comedy Major Payne. But in a shocking twist, Brown's promising career spiraled into chaos, and now he's sitting behind bars. His troubles really exploded in February 2016, when he reportedly attacked his girlfriend right outside a California police station. Officers quickly responded, only to discover he was also carrying illegal substances. He was charged with domestic battery, possession, and resisting arrest. But instead of facing the consequences, Brown missed his court date and was arrested again in March after another confrontation involving his girlfriend and her mother. Released once more, he skipped court a second time and fled to Nevada, and things only got worse. In June 2016, he was stopped while leaving a suspicious location, and police allegedly found banned substances on him. He was uncooperative, and the incident added yet another charge to his growing rap sheet. By September 2016, Brown had reportedly broken into a restaurant owned by a friend, tampering with the property's logs and prompting yet another arrest. His most recent arrest came in December 2022, when he was taken into custody in Ohio for allegedly threatening his brother with a broken knife and a hammer. He remains held on a $25,000 bond, and it's clear his days of Disney stardom are long gone. Lil Wayne. Lil Wayne wasn't just a kid with a mic, he was a prodigy. Born in New Orleans, he signed with Cash Money Records at just 12 years old and quickly rose to fame. By 17, his debut album, The Block Is Hot, went platinum. The hits kept coming, Lollipop, A Milli, and 6'7 Foot, turning him into one of the biggest names in hip-hop. But in 2007, that meteoric rise hit a wall. Just hours after performing in New York City, Lil Wayne's tour bus was pulled over. What started as a routine stop escalated fast. Police discovered an unlicensed .40 caliber handgun in his bag. Under New York's strict laws, that meant serious time, up to 15 years. After a long legal battle, he took a plea deal. In March 2010, Lil Wayne entered Rikers Island, one of the most notorious jails in the country. No VIP treatment, no superstar privileges, just another inmate behind bars. While serving his one-year sentence, he was caught with a banned MP3 player and thrown into solitary confinement. But instead of breaking down, Wayne picked up a pen. He used those months to write lyrics and reflect, laying the groundwork for his prison memoir, Gone Till November. Lil Wayne's time behind bars could have ended his career. Instead, it sharpened him. The fall was public, but the comeback was legendary. Because YouTube will prioritize interactive videos, please comment OK if you find this video interesting. Thank you. David Henrie. David Henrie was once the clean-cut older brother on Wizards of Waverly Place, starring alongside Selena Gomez in one of Disney Channel's most beloved shows. But in 2018, fans were shocked when the former child star made headlines for a very different reason, this time in handcuffs. On a Monday morning in September 2018, Henrie arrived at LAX airport like any traveler, except he had a loaded 9mm M&P Shield pistol tucked into his belongings. TSA agents quickly detected the firearm during screening, and Henrie was immediately arrested by LAPD officers. The actor was taken to the LAPD Pacific Division jail, where he spent several hours before being released. Henrie later addressed the situation on social media, calling it an honest mistake and expressing how humiliated and embarrassed he felt over the incident. But apologies weren't enough to make it disappear. He was officially charged with carrying a loaded and concealed weapon, along with attempting to bring a firearm into a secure airport area, serious offenses under California law. One singer flatly declared that he would never work with her again. Another tried to steal her biggest song. And though she tried to keep it a secret, the truth is now coming out. The artists she couldn't stand to work with are revealed. Through interviews, memoirs, and passing comments, the bitter stories begin to emerge. From lawsuits, betrayals, and veiled words from both rising stars and veteran legends, Dolly's journey is filled with people she once trusted, then eventually had to let go. We're not talking about gossip or petty disagreements. These are lawsuits, veiled sarcasm, and rejections so cold that even Dolly's smile can't hide them. Stay tuned, because the final person on this list will leave you truly, truly stunned. Dolly Rebecca Parton was born on January 19, 1946, in a small one-room house in Locust Ridge, Tennessee. Growing up in a poor but loving family with 12 siblings crammed into a simple mountain home, Dolly learned determination and resilience from her parents. Her father, Lee Parton, was a hard-working farmer and builder who, although illiterate, Dolly claims was the smartest person she knew. Her mother, Avi Lee, gave birth to 12 children before the age of 35 and instilled in Dolly a deep love of music, storytelling, and faith in God. Music was not a mere hobby for Dolly, but a means of survival. The family had no money for entertainment, so they sang together in church and on the porch. Dolly's natural voice soon caught attention, and by the age of 10, she was appearing on local radio and television in Knoxville. Soon, she was being booked to sing at the Grand Ole Opry, the country music legend's home. The day after graduating from high school in 1964, Dolly packed her bags and headed to Nashville with no money, no connections, just her talent, and a dream to go beyond the Smoky Mountains she left behind. Initially, she wrote songs for others, but Dolly didn't want to be a side act and craved the spotlight. In 1967, her first hit, Dumb Blonde, was released, a clever song that sent the message that she was more than just a pretty face. Dolly's breakthrough came when she joined the Porter Wagoner Show in 1967, and from there, her name began to spread across America. Millions of viewers tuned in every week, and her duets with Porter became instant hits, beloved for their great chemistry and Dolly's charismatic personality. Before we dive deeper, where in the world are you tuning in from to hear these shocking Dolly Parton revelations? Drop your country in the comments, we'd love to know. In the early 1970s, she officially went solo, and no one could stop her from shining. Jolene, 1973, became a timeless classic, then I Will Always Love You became a global hit. Although Whitney Houston's famous version came out later, Dolly still owned the copyright and earned millions of dollars from the song, but she never bragged about it. By the 1980s, Dolly was not only a singer, but also shined on the big screen with the movie 9 to 5 alongside Jane Fonda and Lily Tomlin, proving that she could act extremely naturally. In 1986, Dolly opened the Dollywood theme park in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, not to show off her wealth like many other stars, but to contribute to the development of her hometown economy. Don't let her gentle demeanor fool you. Dolly is one of the smartest and most powerful businesswomen in the entertainment industry. With thousands of songs to her name, multiple Grammys and Lifetime Achievement Awards, she's also been inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, an extraordinary feat for a woman who once lived without running water. In addition, Dolly has donated millions of books through her Imagination Library project, helping children across America gain access to knowledge. Although Dolly has cultivated a sweet, humble, and scandal-free image, she has her limits. Over the years, a number of names have surfaced, people who have clashed with her, belittled her, or tried to control her, even trying to steal all the credit. Dolly may smile in public, but behind the scenes, conflicts and hurt linger. One of the most complicated confrontations was with the person who helped her get her foot in the door but wanted to take over her career. And the story of this relationship is one of the messiest breakups in country music history. Despite being famous as a symbol of kindness, tolerance, and avoiding scandal, Dolly Parton could not keep her gentle smile in front of everyone. After decades of silence and patience, she finally revealed a truth that no one expected. Dolly Parton once really disliked some artists in showbiz. That's right, from a southern angel loved by all of America, Dolly stepped out of that perfect shell to talk about old wounds, people who used her, tried to control her, or belittled her talent. They not only disappointed Dolly, but also made her feel betrayed. And the most shocking thing One of those names was the man who supported her, opened the door to fame, but also the man who tried to stifle her when she wanted to fly with her own wings. The confrontation was not just a professional farewell, but a bitter artistic divorce, hidden behind the applause and the spotlight. And it was just one of the few times Dolly recalled, with both resilience and lingering pain, the names she had never truly forgiven. Porter Wagner, Elvis Presley. Elvis Presley, when people think of him, they immediately think of the king of rock and roll, a cultural icon who forever changed the face of world music. And then there's Dolly Parton, the queen of country music, whose songwriting talent has become legendary. Although both are musical icons, there was a moment in history when they almost crossed paths, but then they didn't. The reason stems from an iconic song, I Will Always Love You. This song, written by Dolly in 1973, is very personal to her. It was a heartfelt farewell as Dolly decided to leave her mentor and duet partner, Porter Wagner, to pursue a solo career. From an emotional farewell, the song has become one of the most beloved country songs of all time, with every word written with heartfelt passion by Dolly. As soon as it was released as a single, the song quickly became a hit and brought Dolly widespread fame. But what she didn't expect was that Elvis Presley's team also took notice of the song. Elvis, the king of rock and roll himself, wanted to cover I Will Always Love You, and his team had started working on it. In the mid-1970s, Elvis was at the height of his fame. He was known for covering other artists' songs, so when Elvis expressed interest in Dolly's song, she felt honored. But then a big problem arose. Elvis's manager, Colonel Tom Parker, was known for demanding stringent terms when it came to recording songs for Elvis. Dolly, who was just establishing herself as a songwriter, couldn't accept them. Colonel Parker wanted at least 50% of the publishing royalties for any song Elvis recorded. It wasn't just a matter of money, it was a matter of principle for Dolly. She understood the value of her work and didn't want to be taken advantage of. So Dolly refused Elvis's offer. She told his manager frankly, "This is the most important copyright in my entire publishing company. I can't do that." Dolly once shared that she was very sad to refuse Elvis's offer. Although she admired him as an artist, she felt trapped and hurt by the prospect of being taken advantage of. Dolly later revealed that Elvis was disappointed when she refused. According to her, Elvis really loved the song and wanted to record it. Dolly felt sorry for Elvis, but she knew that if she gave in, she would open the door for other artists and managers to take advantage of her in the future. The situation between Dolly and Elvis wasn't just about a song, it was very personal. Although Dolly tried to remain respectful, their relationship suffered. She admitted that Elvis probably never fully forgave her for that rejection. In many interviews, Dolly confided that she was heartbroken by the consequences of this, especially because she respected Elvis as a musical legend. She also said that Elvis was a sensitive person, and although he did not react harshly, their relationship had clearly changed. Ultimately, Dolly's decision to keep I Will Always Love You proved to be a wise one for her career. Despite the tension with Elvis, Dolly has no regrets about her decision. She has always been proud of standing up for her own values and self-respect, even though it meant going up against one of the biggest stars of her time. And now a question for you. Do you think Dolly was right to refuse Elvis? Comment with a 1 inch for yes or a 0 inches for no and tell us why. Their battleground. Jeff Tweedy. Dolly Parton has once again proven her maturity and ability to rise above negativity. Despite her almost untouchable status in the music industry, she rarely receives public criticism. But with legends like Dolly, there are always dissenting opinions. Jeff Tweedy, frontman of alt-country band Wilco, is one of them. Jeff Tweedy is a respected indie and alternative country artist. But in 2023, he made headlines when he openly questioned the profound value of some of Dolly's songs. In a seemingly light-hearted interview, Tweedy bluntly said that I Will Always Love You, Dolly's classic love song, made even more famous by Whitney Houston, did not resonate with him emotionally. The comment immediately sparked a wave of backlash from fans everywhere. Country fans, pop fans, and casual listeners alike all spoke up to defend Dolly's musical legacy with passion and emotion. Many recounted precious memories associated with her songs, from first dances and farewells to the pain healed by her heartfelt lyrics. Tweedy also noted that while Dolly was known for her larger-than-life persona and catchy melodies, he felt some of her lyrics lacked the depth and complexity he personally looked for in music. He admitted his appreciation for Jolene. While not a particularly scathing criticism for someone known for her often emotionally resonant and relatable lyrics, it was seen as a slight against Dolly's songwriting. Dolly's response, as usual, was a powerful silence. She did not respond or attack back because throughout her career, Dolly has prided herself on her deeply personal lyrics, often reflecting real life and experience. She understood that despite any criticism, her songs still touched the hearts of millions around the world. It is this sincerity and intimate emotion that has given her music its enduring vitality over the decades, across genres and generations. While Jeff Tweedy has since moved on with his own musical projects, many fans speculated that his comments about Dolly Parton may have contributed to some negative reactions. This story is not the first time Dolly has been compared or belittled, but she has always remained composed, letting time and public recognition speak for her true worth. Whitney Houston. Whitney Houston, a legendary singer, turned the song "I Will Always Love You" into one of the greatest love ballads of all time, with her emotional and soulful version in the movie The Bodyguard. Whitney's version not only broke records and topped charts around the world, but also brought the song to a new generation of audiences, turning it into a pop culture phenomenon that has been recreated in films, commercials, and countless tribute performances. Yet amid Whitney's dazzling success, a question arose. Did Dolly feel overshadowed, erased from her own legacy? Was she secretly harboring resentment as the spotlight shifted to Whitney? If she felt any such feelings, Dolly never showed it. When asked how she felt when she heard Whitney's version, Dolly responded with her usual grace and composure. "I cried when I heard the song, but not because of the money. I cried because it was so beautifully performed." In fact, Dolly is not only emotionally intelligent, but also extremely business savvy. She retained the publishing rights to the song and once turned down an offer to sell the rights for the film, skillfully protecting her musical assets. As a result, Dolly earned millions in royalties and later revealed that she used the money to buy a small shopping mall in Nashville, a smart, quiet, strategic move, devoid of any bitterness. Dolly did things her own way, determined, intelligent, and with unwavering respect for herself and her career. Before we reveal the final shocking name on this list, take a guess. Who do you think Dolly Parton truly couldn't stand? Drop your guess and your reasoning in the comments below. Before Dolly Parton became the global superstar we know today, Porter Wagoner was already a major force in country music. Known for his charismatic charm and a voice that could stir the deepest emotions, Porter was much more than just a singer. He was a true entertainer. By the 1960s, he was hosting his own nationally syndicated television show, The Porter Wagoner Show, one of the biggest platforms for country music in America. On stage, Porter was flashy and larger than life. Offstage, he was a savvy businessman with traditional values, fully aware of what the audience wanted. When Dolly Parton joined his show, replacing the beloved Norma Jean, many fans were initially resistant. Some even booed Dolly during performances and sent her angry letters. But Porter stood firm, confident in Dolly's potential. Before long, Porter and Dolly became an iconic duo. Their harmonies sparked magic, and their chemistry was undeniable. Together, they racked up more than a dozen top 10 hits and looked like the perfect team on camera. However, behind the scenes, tension was quietly growing. Porter wasn't just interested in singing alongside Dolly, he wanted to control her career. He managed her bookings, decided on their recordings, and held the final say over business matters. But Dolly was far more than just a pretty face with a nice voice. She was a gifted songwriter and a woman with her own vision and ambitions that stretched well beyond being part of a duet. For years, Dolly played along with Porter's guidance, but as her fame grew, she yearned for creative freedom and the chance to carve out her own path. She began writing songs that didn't fit the Porter and Dolly formula. She later admitted that Porter struggled to see her as an equal partner. What started as a launching pad for Dolly eventually felt like a cage. Despite these struggles, Dolly didn't leave immediately. She felt indebted to Porter for the early boost he gave her. But by 1973, the strain was too much. In 1974, she made the bold move to leave the Porter-Wagoner show. Publicly, their split seemed smooth, but behind the scenes, this was just the start of a much messier chapter. 5 years later, Porter took legal action. In 1979, he sued Dolly for $3 million, accusing her of breaking their contract and demanding payment for management fees, show costs, and a share of her earnings since leaving. Dolly was shocked. Though their relationship had soured, she had always regarded Porter as a mentor. The lawsuit felt like a deep betrayal. The legal battle became public, sparking press coverage and gossip in the industry. Yet Dolly chose not to fight back harshly in public. She quietly settled out of court. Reflecting on the ordeal, she said she never wanted to battle Porter but simply sought freedom. The whole ordeal took an emotional toll on Dolly. Porter had been a significant figure in her life and career beginnings, and losing that connection was painful. She once shared in an interview, "When I was trying to leave the show, I had told Porter I'd stay 5 years. It had been 5, and it was 6, and it was 7. He was just having a really hard time, because it was going to mess up his show. We were very bound and tied together in so many emotional ways, and he just would not hear it." That quote reveals the complexity of their bond. This was never just about money, but about deep emotional ties. The experience exposed a side of Porter Dolly hadn't expected, and it hurt her deeply. But as time went on, wounds began to heal. By the late 1980s, after years of estrangement, Porter and Dolly started to reconnect. In a surprising gesture of respect and forgiveness, Dolly inducted Porter-Wagoner into the Country Music Hall of Fame in 2002. On stage, she openly acknowledged how much he had meant to her, despite their rocky past. When Porter was diagnosed with lung cancer in 2007, Dolly visited him in the hospital. Just weeks later, Porter passed away. Dolly was heartbroken. She held a private tribute concert at Dollywood, not for the media, but as a heartfelt farewell to the man who had helped launch her career, even if he had also tried to hold it back. This chapter of Dolly's life remains one of the most complicated and defining moments of her journey, shaping her in ways few truly understand. Linda Howard Stern. In 2008, a man pushed Dolly to the brink of anger and hurt. That man was Howard Stern, the man known as the king of all media, infamous for his often vulgar and blunt style. The Howard Stern Show dominated the airwaves in the 80s and 90s with shocking statements that few dared to make. To his fans, Stern was a symbol of limitless free speech. But to Dolly Parton and millions of others, he was a cruel public attacker and relentless mocker. In 2008, Howard Stern and his team created a segment considered by many to be incredibly tasteless, a fake interview, by cutting Dolly's real voice from her audiobook, My Life and Other Unfinished Business. The words were edited and rearranged to create a fabricated narrative filled with profanity, racism, and personal insults. They pretended that Dolly had publicly cursed other artists like Kenny Rogers, Linda Ronstadt, and even insulted herself in a painful and cruel way. The segment was meant to be satirical, but in reality, it was a despicable act that seriously offended Dolly's honor and reputation. While Stern and his team were laughing on air, Dolly's millions of fans felt like their beloved icon had been unjustly attacked. Dolly, known for her patience and tolerance, spoke out publicly for the first time with great pain. "I have never felt so shocked, hurt, and humiliated in my life. I cannot believe that Howard Stern would do such horrible things to me. Never in a million years would I say such vulgar things." She called Stern's actions absolutely vile and disgusting, and even threatened legal action, a rare move from a woman who maintains a wholesome image like Dolly. "This is one of the few times I'll ever go to court. I'm absolutely devastated." Country music fans and radio stations erupted in anger, condemning Howard Stern, but instead of apologizing, Stern defended it as a joke. He disregarded the feelings of Dolly and the millions of people who loved her, claiming that people were being too sensitive. After the terrible incident, Dolly and Howard Stern did not communicate with each other. Dolly, though deeply hurt, maintained a dignified demeanor and avoided public confrontation. But the wound never truly healed, and the simmering conflict was rehashed over the years. But in 2023, the unexpected happened. Dolly Parton made her first appearance on The Howard Stern Show. 15 years after the shocking incident, she entered the studio of the person who had hurt her the most to promote her new album, Rockstar. This time, Stern showed her rare respect, calling her a legend, praising her voice and stage presence. But the tension remained palpable. It was clear that if it weren't for the album promotion, Dolly would never have entered the airwaves that had become Ronstadt. The next person on Dolly Parton's list said something that shocked not only Dolly but the whole world. Dolly Parton and Linda Ronstadt, they were a real dream team in country music. Together with Emmylou Harris, the three powerful women in the music industry created the legendary album Trio. Their voices blended perfectly, creating hits that still make listeners shiver to this day. But behind the glamour and inspiring recording sessions, it wasn't always all fun, especially between Dolly and Linda. And what seemed like a close, sisterly singer relationship almost turned into a heated argument in the mid-1970s. Dolly, Linda, and Emmylou were all top stars at the time, and they admired each other and dreamed of working together. But busy schedules and troubles with record labels kept delaying their plans. It wasn't until 1987 that the album Trio was first released. It was a huge hit. The album went platinum, topped the country charts, and even won a Grammy. In the studio, however, things weren't as harmonious as their music. Dolly was known for her fast-paced style, often completing recordings in 1 or 2 takes. Linda was the opposite. She was a perfectionist who could spend hours recording a vocal track to perfection. Emmylou played the role of peacemaker, trying to keep the peace within the group. Dolly once confided that working with Linda was like having to deal with a diva who liked to take her time in the studio. There were times when she wanted to scream at Linda for being so meticulous. The difference in working style caused tension to build up, and the atmosphere in the studio was sometimes tense. However, they still managed to make a second album in 1994 called Trio 2. But record label disputes and busy schedules delayed the release until 1999. Unfortunately, by the time the album was released, Dolly and Linda's relationship had been severely damaged. Their relationship began with admiration and a bit of friendly competition, but it ended on a sour note. Linda was open about her frustration with Dolly for her inconsistent attitude on the project. In an interview, she accused Dolly of frequently cancelling or arriving late, which left her feeling frustrated. Linda said Dolly was never on time and always a little unpredictable. But it wasn't just the lateness. Linda felt that Dolly didn't really respect the process and commitment it took to complete an album. She felt that Dolly was more focused on her solo career, and that left a sour taste in their relationship. The tension was great enough to cause serious conflicts. Linda once declared that she did not want to cooperate with Dolly again, even feeling that Dolly's perceived unprofessionalism had damaged a project that should have been a shared joy, and of course, time heals some wounds. Years later, despite some awkwardness and distance, Linda and Dolly began to show signs of reconciliation. They no longer fought directly, but they also had no interest in becoming close friends again. Miley Cyrus. Think of Miley Cyrus, Dolly's goddaughter, the girl she was a bridesmaid for. Miley didn't just rebel, she completely exploded, breaking all the limits the public placed on her. From her brightly colored hair to her controversial performances, Miley burned through the innocent Hannah Montana image to become a defiant cultural icon. So what did Dolly think? Rumor has it that she was concerned, perhaps even quietly disapproving. But Dolly, ever tactful, chose not to publicly criticize. "I told her what only a godmother could say," Dolly said in a 2023 interview. "But I let her be." Dolly's words were a quiet affirmation of support, both encouraging and restrained. There were no public fights, no harsh words spoken, just gentle concern and private conversations that only they knew about. Dolly continued to celebrate Miley's talent, independence, and courage, even though the world sometimes wasn't ready for her. Not everyone can keep their true feelings to themselves, however. In a private discussion years ago, one comment stuck with Dolly, a criticism so direct and cutting that it forced her to re-examine her feelings towards some of her colleagues in the industry. It was these moments that revealed a different Dolly Parton, not just the sweet icon, but also a woman with strong opinions, capable of disliking singers she felt were unworthy or whose actions she disapproved of. This untold story has left the public wondering, who was the target of Dolly's disapproval? And was that disapproval even deeper and more intense than what we've heard? A young star once allegedly called Dolly Parton past her prime, a rumor that has never been officially confirmed, but the story has sparked constant debate in the music world. In the early 2010s, at a television talk show for artists, a confident, seemingly arrogant young singer reportedly said something that chilled the room. She hasn't been a big deal on country radio for 20 years. The comment was seemingly light-hearted, almost a passing remark, but according to those present, the silence that followed was truly awkward. No one objected, nor did anyone come to Dolly's defense. Dolly Parton, in her consummate professionalism, did not publicly react. She did not resort to name-calling or respond with harsh words, but her quiet response, which came a few months later, sent shockwaves through the industry. The young singer invited Dolly to perform as a duet on her national tour, a huge event with sold-out crowds and television cameras. Dolly refused. According to sources close to her team, the message couldn't have been clearer. Why should I sing for people who think I'm irrelevant? Despite no video evidence or official statement, the story has gone viral online, been discussed in forums, repeated in interviews, and become the subject of speculation by millions of fans who know that Dolly Parton doesn't typically forget slights, because when Dolly chose to remain silent, it was not out of indifference or weakness. It was a deliberate decision, a wordless but extremely pointed statement. If this story is true, Dolly's silence resonated more than any song she ever wrote. Dolly Parton, despite her outward charm and glamour that makes people think she's just a shiny icon, is actually tough as nails. For decades, she's gifted the world with grace, humor, and a big heart. But she also knows how to protect herself, not letting anyone take her for granted or hurt her easily. She's a shrewd businesswoman, a brilliant songwriter, and a survivor who has navigated the treacherous waters of the music industry with both grit and grace. She's faced betrayals, endured public ridicule, and silently sidestepped those who underestimated her, all while maintaining that infectious smile and unwavering kindness. But that kindness isn't weakness, it's a strategic choice, a cloak of steel beneath a layer of sequins. Because while Dolly may forgive, she never truly forgets. And the stories of those who crossed her, from Porter Wagoner to Howard Stern, serve as a potent reminder: don't mess with Dolly. In recent years, Dolly Parton has proven she's more than just a country music legend. She's a force of nature. At an age when most stars fade quietly, Dolly shines brighter than ever. Whether it's funding vaccines, launching best-selling books, or turning heads with her surprise rock album, she keeps rewriting what it means to be a living icon. Behind the sequins and southern charm is a powerhouse woman breaking boundaries, helping others, and doing it all with that signature sparkle. Dolly isn't just surviving, she's thriving, and the world can't get enough of her dot. In recent years, Dolly Parton has proven she's more than just a country music legend. She's a force of nature. At an age when most stars fade quietly, Dolly shines brighter than ever. Whether it's funding vaccines, launching best-selling books, or turning heads with her surprise rock album, she keeps rewriting what it means to be a living icon. Behind the sequins and southern charm is a powerhouse woman breaking boundaries, helping others, and doing it all with that signature sparkle. Dolly isn't just surviving, she's thriving, and the world can't get enough of her. In recent years, Dolly Parton has proven she's more than just a country music legend. She's a cultural powerhouse. At over 75, she's still outworking stars half her age, releasing hit albums, writing books, and even earning a Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction. But it's not just her music that's kept her in the spotlight. Dolly's philanthropy has become legendary, from donating over 100 million books to children through her Imagination Library to helping fund the Moderna COVID-19 vaccine. She's embraced modern platforms with grace, going viral on social media, collaborating with younger artists, and even launching a line of pet products and baking mixes. With her signature wit, dazzling outfits, and unstoppable drive, Dolly has reinvented herself for a new generation while staying true to her roots. She remains a symbol of resilience, generosity, and unapologetic sparkle. Fans love her not just for her voice, but for her voice in the world, unafraid to stand up, speak out and give back. Dolly's recent years haven't been a slow fade. They've been a triumphant encore, reminding everyone why she's truly one of a kind. From red carpets to mugshots, these once-beloved child stars remind us that fame can be a double-edged sword. Behind every Hollywood smile, there may be a story of pain, pressure, and poor choices. But which story hit you the hardest? Was it Ryan Grantham's haunting crime or Shia LaBeouf's public unraveling? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you want more shocking Hollywood scandals and untold celebrity truths, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. The next twist might be even darker.